AI tools can now produce thousands of clean, professional-looking templates in seconds, mimicking the output of a standard graphic designer. When the goal is simply to look neat, a human designer is no longer the most efficient choice. To differentiate your work, you have to look beyond the surface level of a layout. This requires a 4-step framework to train your eyes to see design as a series of intentional decisions rather than just a combination of shapes and colors. Before we begin, open one of your own recent design files and keep it on your screen. We are going to audit your work alongside these steps. Creating high-end design depends on specific, intentional choices and cultural awareness, elements that automation often overlooks in favor of generic patterns. Compare these two social posts. The design on the left is technically solid, but feels like a template because it is too obvious. The design on the right uses a bold yellow hook and a slightly off-grid layout to create intrigue. Look away from your screen, then look back at your own design for exactly 3 seconds. Note the path your eyes take across the canvas. A successful visual journey provides clear direction. Here, the eye enters top left, moves down, and is pulled across bottom right details. But pushing content into extreme corners leaves the eye bouncing between them, trapped within the frame. If your layout lacks a clear entry point and exit, it has failed its primary function of guiding the audience through the information. Step 2 involves deconstructing individual elements to see how they contribute to the emotional impact of the piece. In this boat design, moving toward the upper left creates quiet escape. The soft golden lighting provides Mediterranean warmth. Layering cursive script over a serif font adds a human touch, while deliberate spacing between words creates visual rhythm. Look at the main subject in your own design. If you reversed its direction or changed the lighting from soft to harsh, would the intended atmosphere still exist? When every small decision points toward a single visual language, the design becomes a cohesive message rather than a collection of random parts. Asking, "Does it look good?" is a subjective question that is ineffective because it doesn't help you identify why a design is succeeding or failing. Replace that question with a psychological framework. First, what is this trying to make the viewer feel? Second, what is this trying to make the viewer do? Third, what specific decisions were made to achieve those results? Take a moment to run your open design through these 3 questions. Try to answer them quickly, focusing on the intent behind your layout. Moving from an aesthetic perspective to a psychological one allows you to see the mechanics of engagement on the page. Step 4 is about connecting design principles to the brief. Identifying a principle like contrast is only the first half of the process. You must also identify its purpose. In this composition, the vertical elements and figures create the principle of movement, pointing the viewer's eye upward. This movement is used because the design is communicating economic growth. The upward direction reinforces the brand's message of prosperity. Similarly, the shoe advertisement uses an extreme amount of white space to create emphasis on the trainer. The empty space exists because the designer wants to ensure the product is the only focal point for the audience. Identify one principle in your own file. Can you articulate why it is there based on the goals of the project? If a principle is present just to look visually appealing but cannot be justified by the brief, the design is likely lacking a clear direction. You now have a repeatable system to evaluate any design. By analyzing the visual journey, the specific micro-decisions, and the purpose behind your principles, you can see the intention behind the work. Looking back at your own design right now, you can likely spot specific structural weaknesses that were previously hidden. Open a new artboard. Take the piece you just audited and redesign it, applying these 4 steps to every element you place on the canvas. Building this habit moves you away from simple layout execution and toward the role of an intentional visual director, a position that remains difficult for